Raiden, what I said about staying focused on the mission.
Understood. No need to explain.
I say this because I have been there. I have let my emotions take over on the battlefield. Some of the PMC work I did after my discharge was... They were gray area jobs. But that's all in the past. When I took on those former PLA soldiers to form Maverick, I laid out my conditions. We would only take operations we believed in, and we would run them clean, no exceptions. Most of them agreed. They had their own bad memories from their time in Paradise Lost.
I can certainly attest to that.
Yes, of course. I forget who I'm talking with. Most of the ex-PLA have moved on now in any case. But the point remains the same. Everyone at Maverick is accountable for their actions. We are clear to take this job under international law, and we can use force against any cyborg hostiles under the basic rules of engagement. But remember, if we harm any civilians, on purpose or no, it will mean trouble. All kinds of trouble. So, stay in control and stay on mission.
Got it.
Sorry, man, but I have to ask. Where did Mr. Lightning Bolt come from anyway?
Ugh, seriously? All right. Well, I told you where I got Raiden from, right? World War II, the Japanese had a plane called Raiden. The Allies named it Jack.
Yeah, I remember.
And my real name's Jack. So yeah, they codenamed me Raiden.
They being the Patriots.
Mm-hmm. Never really suited me, but it's better than... Jack just reminds me too much of the past.
I hear you.
Someone once told me, you can find your own name, and your own future. After that, I dropped Jack for good.
Right. And this lightning bolt business?
Well, the Rai part of Raiden means thunder, and Den is electric. So Raiden is basically lightning bolt.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I was explaining that to Inmani, and he just busted out laughing.
So he called you that as a joke? He was basically just giving you shit.
Yeah, he actually had a pretty good sense of humor. He was one of the most charismatic men I'd ever met. I don't know much about politics, but being around him, you could just tell he was a natural leader.
Such a goddamn shame.
Mm-hmm. I won't let it happen again. Desperado ends here. Comic book villains and all.
Yeah. We're counting on you, Mr. Lightning Bolt.
Ugh.
Roger that. Save complete.
You saved me again, Courtney.
Right. Anything else? Otherwise I should get back.
Actually, yeah. You mentioned SOP earlier. How much do you know about it?
The Sons of the Patriot system? Same stuff as anyone else in the industry, probably. Basically, a nanomachine software combo for controlling contractors. Used to be required for all PMCs. Soldiers couldn't fire unless their ID matched their weapon and they had clearance. From their commanding officers. And the rules of engagement, I mean. It had some mental effects as well. Moderating pain, enhancing concentration, that sort of thing. The idea was SOP would minimize arms smuggling and civilian casualties.
A kinder, gentler war. An oxymoron, any way you look at it. Civilian deaths did drop, though.
Because soldiers in the system could coordinate in real time, share info. Between that and the ID weapon locks, a lot of people felt better about employing privatized military. The irony is, the system was developed based on criticisms of PMC ops, mostly American interventions. SOP propaganda said it would put limits on the war market. What it really did was shift market share over to the PMCs. Civilian deaths went down, but total casualties just kept on climbing.
More than ever, war was big business.
And business was booming. Until SOP got hacked. Suddenly, everyone realized how dangerous it was to have a single system controlling entire PMCs. That was the beginning of the end for SOP. Public opinion on privatizing war did a 180. After that, a lot of local conflicts and civil wars died down. The PMC conglomerates had to split up and downsize just to stay in business. And that about does it for SOP 101. Class dismissed.
Not bad, Professor. But it's not the whole story.
No, I know.
Let's finish this later. I better keep moving.
My apologies, Raiden. I realize we never concluded our discussion on carbon nanotube muscle fibers.
Didn't we?
CNT drove major innovations in the field of cybernetics, not to mention unmanned gears. As I'm sure you are aware, Walker-type UGs require numerous linear actuators in order to function. Previously, organic polymers or cultivated muscle cells were used to that purpose. But the advancement of CNT technology allowed for comparable power in a far more compact package. This meant the same size UGs could be equipped with even greater firepower. Take the redesigned Metal Gear Ray, for example.
They took all the space the old artificial muscles filled up and stuffed it with weapons.
Precisely. Of course, UGs have improved in many ways, all to keep pace with cyborg advancements, you know. After all, the original Metal Gear program was designed to unite infantry and weaponry. As an evolution of this concept, the UG is now in direct competition with the cyborg. And the cyborgs already have an advantage with their maneuverability and smaller size, as you well know. Of course, UGs are not dependent on the skills of a human host.
Long story short, watch out for UGs.
Well, yes, basically. Cyborgs have matched unmanned gears in many respects, but then UG tech advances every day. Do not underestimate any you might run into.
Copy that.
Raiden, have I told you of the research I was conducting before we met?
Several times.
It was the Cold War. East Germany, the DDR. My field was infantry weapon research. It was a magical time. Secret research, top secret, you know. All for the Soviets, but so exciting. I was free to explore wherever my findings took me. I never had a budget request refused, not once. I was young then. Working, always working. Most nights I would sleep under my desk, you know. Call it nostalgie, but East Germany wasn't so bad. Nostalgie being German for East nostalgia, of course.
Of course.
Yes, the bureaucracy had its problems. But my colleagues, the discoveries. Ah, well. In any case, after reunification, they suddenly shut down our entire facility. Everything I'd worked for, my job, my research, poof, gone just like that.
Sounds rough.
I've often said I would be a homeless vagrant if myoelectric prosthesis hadn't lent me a hand. Artificial limbs were crude props then, you know, designed only for appearances. They were hardly functional. If you lost an arm or leg, you were disabled, and that was that. The key was running actuators based on electromyography signals from the skin's surface, of course. This enabled a great range of movements, even more so than a natural limb. It was then I realized my knowledge of robotics and engineering could come in handy. So, I contacted a prosthesis laboratory in Dortmund, and I was hired immediately. Patents filed in my name made quite a bit of money, you know. Soon I was made the head of my own lab.
And that's when you started filling orders from PMCs.
Indeed. From contractors who'd been referred by their employers, to be exact. Workers from your industry quickly became our best customers. We were flooded with orders. But my field was never full body conversions. You can imagine my surprise when Boris contacted me.
Yeah, our previous cybernetics maintenance guy went into hiding.
But I built on my knowledge and now consider myself an expert on all cyborgs, both partial and full body.
Glad I could help with your on-the-job training. Seriously, though, we're lucky to have you on board.
Yes, I should think we have both benefited from our arrangement. Which reminds me, do not forget our other arrangement. The cyborg's left hands, if you would.
Got it. Didn't you say you'd been here before, Boris?
Once, back when it was still Soviet territory.
Seems like it'd be a lovely... But...
Do you...
Sounds like a worthy cause.
Duh. But many Abkhaz are happy with the reconstruction Russian support makes possible. Few of his fellow countrymen were interested in what Dolzaev had to say. At first.
And then Desperado showed up.
Exactly. They brought the sad ending to this little history lesson. It is no wonder so many people mistrust PMCs, eh?
I suppose not. Kev, let's go over everything we have on Desperado.
Roger that. Let's see here. Desperado Enforcement, LLC. Registered in the U.S., Delaware.
Makes sense. The U.S. doesn't regulate PMCs too closely.
Looks like almost all of their actual business is handled outside the States, though. Says here their financials are handled by a separate company based in St. Kitts and Nevis.
The preferred tax haven of megacorps everywhere.
Probably why they incorporated in Delaware in the first place. Loose tax laws. Funneling it all through the Caribbean must help with the money laundering, though. There's still a lot we don't know about them, but they've definitely been starting a lot of fires lately. They're a PMC in name only. What a name it is. Guess War Profiteers Incorporated was taken. But that's their business. In a nutshell, target war-torn nations on the road to peace. Reignite conflicts and walk off with all the cash that was earmarked for reconstruction. They also have ties to the drug trade, human trafficking.
Sounds like a real class act.
Roger that. Save complete.
I thought we'd get back to our little history lesson. What do you know about the Patriots?
I know that they were behind everything we talked about before with the SOP system. People thought these 12 guys controlled world politics and the global economy from the shadows.
And they were right. Except there weren't 12, and they weren't guys, or even human. They were massive AI networks.
All the better to gather information on a global scale, or censor it if they wanted. They'd manipulate factions to keep wars raging, all while selling arms to both sides. The PMCs made billions too, of course. SOP was the Patriots' masterstroke. They could control battles directly, down to each individual soldier. The system might even still be around if the AIs hadn't all been destroyed.
I'm impressed. You know your stuff. Not many people have even heard of the Patriots. More than when they were active, but still, not many. Almost no one knows they were AIs, or that they're the real reason SOP went away.
Well, the few that do know aren't going to talk about it publicly. Even the world leaders.
Especially the world leaders. The people would panic, assuming anyone believed them, which they wouldn't. You can find speculation on the net if you look hard enough. Some of them get pretty close to the truth, but the stories never made it into the mainstream. Just another conspiracy theory.
I'm not surprised. It's a little hard to believe, you know? It just sounds crazy. When Kevin briefed me about all this in orientation, I thought it was some kind of BS detecting test.